Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to Visordown and welcome to Mallory Park, where we have spent the morning today trying out the new Norton V4SV. So, little bit of housework to do really. This is not the same bike that came from the previous era Norton owners. This is completely reworked and redesigned and re-engineered in some circumstances. So out of all of the individual components that make up the bike, probably more than 50% of them have been either re-engineered, replaced, or just redesigned. And that goes for everything: nut, bolt, fastening, coolant system. It's basically all new for this model. What is still the same is the look and style and feel of the bike. It is still billet aluminium everywhere you look, full carbon fibre bodywork, forged wheels, carbon wheels if you want them from BST. It is an absolute thing of beauty, and I've been looking forward to riding it here at Mallory Park. Not a circuit that I know particularly well, but just to get a feel for the Norton. It's the first time I've ever ridden a Norton. The first chance to swing a leg over that V4 and really have a go at it. So this isn't a full review because I've not ridden it on the road, and Norton are really pushing this bike as the ultimate British sports bike for the road with trackability. And I haven't ridden it on the road, so we will be getting a chance. This is more of a first impression track riding review of the new Norton V4SV. So first and foremost, this track is small, it's relentless, and the base settings for this bike when I went out in the first couple of sessions I thought were really quite stiff. It felt to me, weirdly, considering they're calling it the ultimate British sports bike for the road, felt to me very much like a race machine. The suspension was stiff, it didn't dive very much, and the chassis is quite stiff as well. I did a few sessions, managed to ease into it a little bit and was getting a bit more of a feel for it, but then came into the pits and got the engineers here to reset the suspension basically to slightly more of a road setting on both the front and the rear. So Öhlins fully adjustable suspension, front and rear. So you really can take that setting to wherever you need it to be for road, track, wet, dry, whatever that you're looking for. Went out again and it was much more compliant. It was diving more on the front brake, which was nice, so it gave me a bit more of a natural feel going into the Gerard's, the third gear right-hander here at Mallory Park, the first corner. Felt a lot more compliant, and it dive on the front, and that felt like a more natural place for me to be. There was a bit more movement and a bit more squat through the back end, especially as you come through the devil's elbow, but overall that softer package for me was where I wanted to be at. We've got Brembo brakes on this thing, and we've got all the toys and gizmos that you'd need with that with regards to cornering, ABS and everything else, and the brakes are super strong. Really the lever, it feels quite, it doesn't feel very progressive. It's quite a hard set lever, so you haven't got much before you get into the meat of the braking. But once you get on the anchors, this thing hauls up really quickly, and if you are running out of road a little bit, there's always a little bit more that you can pull just to help yourself out. If there's one thing that I can say about the handling of this bike, and this is the thing that's kind of been plaguing me all day, is the way that Norton are branding it as the ultimate British sports bike for the road. But yet on the roads, on the base settings that we went out on in the first session, I couldn't ever imagine riding this thing on the road. I just have a feeling that it would be so jarring over potholes and speed bumps and little undulations in the road that you would get fed up with it and you'd end up winding it back to a more road biased setting. It felt like a track day bike, a race bike. It was super stiff, unforgiving, and at times it was pretty brutal to ride out there. It's a very quick machine. It's got short gears, it's got a short final drive. Everything about it just feels frantic on that harder setting. So a little bit strange that Norton have gone for that stiff setting if it is supposed to be the ultimate road bike for the ultimate sports bike for the road, should I say. The only real gripe that I've got with the bike, and this is, it's a disposable part for want of a better phrase, so you can swap this out. But we are running these Dunlop Sport Smart hoops on it, and they just don't seem up to the task for me. So I'd much rather see it set on some Supercorsa SPs or Metzler Racetech RRs, not these tyres which just don't seem quite up to the task. which is a real shame because you were getting some slides from the back end and the traction control and the electronics would then gather that up and it would all be fine. But then you wouldn't quite have the confidence the next time you went through that turn to really push on and find out a little bit more about the bike. Really, this is a bike that most people are going to be buying, and they're going to be putting it in their living room, or they're going to be parking it under their stairs, and they're going to be looking at it and just loving the fact that it is such a beautiful thing. But then there are going to be people who want to take them out on the road, not in the wet. It's always going to be a dry weather bike in my mind, and that's another reason that these hoops they don't seem to fit the bill. Like I said at the beginning of the video, this is really a very short first taste track review. We've done like 3 or 4 sessions and probably 10 laps each session, so I've got a pretty good idea of how it goes. But I really am looking forward to riding this thing on the road and seeing how it fares out there on the streets. So there we have it, folks. I've been Toad and Mallory on the new V4SV from Norton. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit like and drop a comment below letting us know what you think. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that you can stay up to date with all of our latest videos. For all the latest news, reviews and motorcycle features, get yourself over to Visordown.com. Cheers.